is what we're going to be launching in our archive videos.
Yes.
Is more of the conditioning side of it.
Correct.
For like the reps and stuff, and we're tracking for that.
Seated swing solutions.
Correct. But this is where
and the first hot take, okay, to start off this segment, is that the speed of your golf swing comes from your hands and arms, not your body.
If you have the face more shut like this, you're not winding the spring up like effectively as if you took a strong grip. You'd be like this.
Yes.
Right. Is close.
You understand that the golf swing is 90% hands and arms? It used to be. Like back in the 20s and 30s with Harry Vardon and Henry Cotton and all these guys, they were saying that it was 90% hands and arms. Where did that get lost? Like, why? Why did we lose that? How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Cause and Effect podcast, where we introduce the cause and effect relationships that exist in golf in relation to the hand, to handle, to club relationships. So we both got our small clubs. I'm joining in today.
Yeah.
I'm not using the prototype. I'm just going to leave that there. This is actually another one of our cool prototypes. It's funny, we always get comments. People are like, you guys are using like kids clubs. It's like,
just
no,
a
these
short
are like
club.
just short clubs. We like 3D print these, and I don't know, it's just good. Hopefully
It'd be easier than trying to hold a driver out. Like, you
yeah,
know.
right. Just like holding like a full golf club, just like stretch straight out away.
Right.
So, yeah. So episode 17. Yeah, we got the studio going now. Hopefully everybody's been enjoying all the content that we've been pushing out with that.
Yeah.
You see that really cool driving range in the background. That's our Clothoria driving range for our cool like golf world that we created.
Yeah.
So you're going to be seeing just a lot more cool stuff like that. We're just trying to mix it up, just trying to give you different kinds of content, right? Like we have the podcast, right? We have this. Where we kind of just nerd out a little bit and just talk about the tour players and helping people out.
Yeah.
But then we also have more like where we dig a little bit deeper and go more into kind of explanations in like golf posture and golf form,
Right.
at the studio with everything that we've been doing. Cause yeah, it's nice to like introduce topics here at the in the podcast, but it's nice to have the studio just to like show like, hey,
Yeah, you
this
have
is
to
what we mean.
showcase this live. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, because people, it's hard for people to visualize it.
Right.
That's why we use these.
Right.
Just to kind of help create that representation. So, thanks again for all the support we've been getting. We've been having some good success on social media lately.
And we just went and shot more videos today, so they'll be coming soon.
Today we're double time today. Just shot some really good content. Talked about the perfect downswing, so keep an eye out for that video. That's gonna be a really good one. Talked about just like how to blend the proper footwork. You hear us talk about the hands and arms a lot, but the footwork, that's gonna be a good one. Then we just did some shorts with just some drills and stuff like that. So it's going good though. We're just gonna keep cranking it out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the goal. We've got a lot. I mean, with all of our stuff that we've studied, and when we created the Smart Grip, we figured out a lot of stuff, and we just have a crap load of content. So yeah. So in this episode, we're actually gonna do a couple segments, a couple things that we haven't actually. We've talked about these things, but never really kind of organized them in these segments. So we're gonna have a couple of segments. One's gonna be called Plain and Simple. That's gonna be a really cool one where we talk about tour players and how they use their swing and how they use their golf club in a plain and simple way.
Right.
And then we're gonna have this section today that we talk about, and that'll actually be probably the first thing that we jump into after talking about Tiger and Charlie and everything. It's called Seated Swing Solutions. So that's going to be cool. That's just going to be...
give me a few drills.
Yeah, a few drills you could do, like sitting right here. You don't need a range. You don't need to leave your house. It's wintertime here in Michigan, so you don't have a huge opportunity to go to a driving range or anything. So that'll be good. And then we're going to do some hot takes too. We're going to kind of try to ruffle some feathers and talk about a couple of things that we believe very strongly in that haven't really been talked about a lot. So, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. We're going to have a ton of content on this channel coming out. We're going to just get right into it. So, first thing is, it is PNC week. So, PNC, father-son, Tiger and Charlie are playing together. So, that's always kind of a huge thing in the golf world. Everybody wants to see Charlie. I actually saw a couple clips, and we've talked about this. I did a analysis on Charlie swing on my Ethan Bramble channel on YouTube, And I noticed something, and I want to talk about this and get your opinion a little bit. We've talked about it a little bit, but Charlie actually like weakened his lead hand grip. So he used to have a pretty strong grip. And yeah, I've noticed that he weakened his lead hand grip, and I mean, it's kind of following the trend of everybody else that we're seeing in the golf world right now, with the weak grip. But I don't know. I think for a junior, that's kind of problematic a little bit. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I like strong grip for Charlie. So
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not team weak grip
I
for
think
Charlie.
that there might be a reasonable explanation of why Tiger has him doing it. I mean, maybe because he's young and really flexible, he's allowing him to control his, club a little bit more with his body, and do because he's so flexible, he can like backward bend so much more, he can rotate more. I mean, so he can utilize ways to create speed and accuracy. But as we would say again, like if you took him and gave him a strong grip, he's going to, in a sense, like with his driver, be able to increase his launch angle and lower his backspin rate. The lower backspin rate is a big thing to give him more roll.
What do you mean by increase his launch angle? Like, how would he increase his launch angle by getting
tilt.
strong?
Because like naturally when you are turned over with the lead hand more, the like lead arm is going to be internally rotated all the way up to the shoulder to the rotator cuff.
Right.
The rotator cuff even like turns in. So it's like naturally going to tilt you more away from the target as well. And then from there, if he gets a good shallow plane and everything, then he's going to be able to hit the driver.
And this is what he was doing.
A little further from, again, just the roll.
Yeah.
But, again, it's hard to say exactly why he chose it. He has like a picturesque swing. I mean, it's just like almost Tiger when he was young,
Right. Tiger said that he told him, he said, don't look at my swing to like mimic a certain swing. He said, look at Rory's. And you could see it. Like there's a lot of similarities to Rory's swing. But Rory had a really strong grip when he was younger. So, that was just like an interesting thing that I noticed. You know what it almost looked like to me, and I mentioned this when I did my analysis on my channel, is it almost looked like when Tiger went to Hank Haney, and Hank Haney weakened his lead hand grip quite a bit. And I read in Hank Haney's book, the Haney, what was it? I think it was The Big Miss. The Big Miss. Yeah.
Yep.
A great book. I've read that many, many times. And one thing he talked about is he said that when people get later in their career, in like the history of golf, they gravitated towards weakening their lead hand grip. And Tiger did that with Hank. And he did a lot of bowing and a lot of supination and a lot of rolling. And I see that a lot with Charlie right now. And it's like, man, it's weird. You'd think he would kind of, I don't know, let him stay strong for a little bit, develop some strength. I mean, he's getting stronger, definitely, but he's still a young kid. I mean, he's like 14 or 13 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
It's more of like, I've took
ton of rotation with the.
I've worked with students before that had like a picturesque looking kind of golf swing, but it was like, there was a lot of body movements and there wasn't like a lot of acceleration at like from pre to post impact that was stable and consistent, right? So what I would do with them is I would do like the presets we've talked about putting the weight left, forward press and handle pre-closing, taking like a 3/4 backswing and then punching and like trying to stop the club at like, we'll say like trail arm parallel to the ground in the follow through. Like that's the end of the finish, even though you're trying to stop it like post impact and just control like the club through impact, get that proper divot, and their swing would become much shorter and compact, but they would increase their distances and we would be able to recreate it so much better than when they were trying to rely on all the body movements. Like they weren't even thinking about the body. They were just like controlling like the claws and just like focusing on like basically like a backswing, point of reference and then a follow through point of reference for how far back they're basically trying to go.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is that I feel like if you took, when you look at kind of the coaches on social media right now, they're talking about the swing. I don't think that their students could actually like tell them like where their hands are, where the club is at these specific spots in the swing. And that's what you're basically saying is that because your students had such an awareness
I walked them
of
through
their
it
hand.
right from the get-go.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're
like where the quarter
holding their
is
hand. You're holding their hand through that process. So once they get to those kind of desired positions, they know like this is when you say half swing, this is where my hands need to be. This is where the handle needs to be. this is where the club needs to be. That's kind of the
And the
main
biggest
things.
thing too, though, is that
then
really
follow through as
focusing
well.
on like from the half swing,
Mhm.
like we'd all start there and learn how to go half to half and create as much distance as possible. Like
Right.
basically take like a 7-iron, and be able to hit it like 165, 170 yards with just
Right.
like this little punch swing.
Yeah.
And everybody can actually do that. And it's like that's a stepping stone to then building into the other clubs, but also then going to 3/4.
Right.
And a lot of people, it's like you can basically say like a 3/4 swing might be perfect for you. You don't need to go
Right.
further. And then, but you can decide if you want to go further back. But again, when it goes back to Charlie, he's able to do the perfect, picturesque swing.
Yeah.
But really, when it comes to like the mechanical idea of things, for his like future coming up, like you would think
Yeah.
like for prepping him instead of like going a few years and then saying, oh, now we're gonna change it up,
Yeah.
like in a way. Hopefully they pre-game planned for that,
Right.
like, opposed to just trying something that he likes maybe or something.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at Tiger had the most success in his career with a stronger lead hand grip.
Oh, sure.
So it's like,
Mhm.
why would you be sending Charlie like down a different path? So
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'll be watching the tournament this weekend, and I'll be excited because
One thing too,
I like watching Charlie. And Tiger.
we talked about Lee Trevino earlier, and Lee Trevino never changed from his strong grip his entire career.
Yeah,
And he just that's what he was an advocate of, and he had more knowledge of really what the club was doing
right.
and everything in the body than almost anyone. When you go on YouTube and watch videos of him explain it, and it's like even
Yeah.
up to this day, it's just so good though.
I
Like he really
I remember
understands it.
we were watching. I think it was like a couple years ago. We were watching Lee Trevino, and we were comparing him to Rahm in
Mhm.
other than like the grip style.
Yeah, it was the total opposite spectrums, but exactly the same thing.
Yeah, opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of the grip,
Yeah.
right? Like
Strong
Trevino
and then-
was strong and
yeah.
Rahm's weak. But
Right.
if you look at like how they use their hands and arms and their
Mhm.
body,
The push pull, and the like layoff, but
Yeah.
it's just with a different grip.
yeah, same kind of build too.
Yeah.
Like, well, I think Trevino's a little smaller.
He's shorter. Yeah, he's definitely shorter,
Yeah,
and not
'cause
as
Rahm's
big.
big.
Like big. Yeah. You're right.
But yeah, Rahm's been playing really good. But yeah, that made me think of when you said the Trevino thing. I was like, remember that day? I'll have to do like a demonstration, a piece of content for that.
Sure,
'cause
sure.
I think people like to see those similarities.
Right.
Yeah, but I'll be watching Tiger and Charlie. It'll be interesting to see how they do. I don't know about Tiger. I don't know like how healthy he is. He was supposed to play in the tournament this weekend, the one at the Bahamas, but
right.
he just couldn't because he said his, I guess he had like plantar fasciitis, something wrong with his foot when he
Mhm.
had that accident. So who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad to see him kind of on the decline, but it's okay.
Right.
We've had a lot of good years with him.
Right.
But yeah, John Daly and his son will be there this weekend. That'll be cool to see.
Mhm.
John Daly's son has a weak grip too. It's like, John Daly had a great strong grip. It's like, why are these kids like not copying their dads?
Well, the one thing is though, is that basically John Daly's son, he basically goes to the top, and because he has a weak or a neutral grip, right? I'd say like neutral to weak.
Neutral
right?
to weak. Yeah.
So it gives him a little bit more mobility with like hinging, getting the club high like he does, just
Yeah,
like his dad
really
in that
high.
way. But then he uses the flexion in his downswing,
Big time.
to lay it off. And
just
so, and I
rips
get
his
it.
body.
So that makes sense though, right?
Yeah,
From,
true.
To a certain extent. So, I mean, utilize flexion, that's fine. We just, again, are advocates, like just from my experience in teaching, like I've tried both. And
Same.
I had so much more success with the stronger grip with kids.
Me
and,
too.
And even honestly, most of their parents were doing the same thing because, I mean, especially like if you're, again, during the like building stages of your golf game, like if you're not breaking 90 consistently, you
Right.
should highly consider the strong grip
Yes.
until you can break like into the 80s, like low 80s, and maybe even break 80.
Yes.
Then say, okay, maybe I'll do like a little bit more neutral of a grip or something if you have to.
just to minimize curvature.
If
and
you
things
can
like
do
that.
the strong grip and be okay with it, it just, again, from a mechanical standpoint with how the club works, to your hands and your body,
Yes.
it really just actually makes sense. And it's going to be something you can do for a lot longer in time. Like
Yeah.
flexion, I think, is a harder thing to do, especially with age.
You will not do that as an older golfer. I can tell you that right now.
Right.
Like you will eventually have to go stronger.
Right, especially
Yeah.
to the top of the swing. Like I really believe keeping the cup in the lead wrist is really an easier way, flexibility wise, to get the club to
Right.
the to the top.
It's just
not
so
have
much
to work
more
about
natural too.
Yeah, I feel so. And then again, I have no problem with the flexing and the downswing. I think that's,
That's
very
fine.
important.
That's fine.
But if you can get cupped to the top properly and push back out and, keep that trail hand cupped and then let the trail arm go from bed straight with pushing with both,
Yeah.
then I think the pushing with both consistently together as one unit
Right.
is more efficient than having to flex one and then push with the other in extension.
Yeah.
So extension all the way.
Extension
Both
all the
hands.
way, both hands. Yeah. Just so much more natural. Like we were talking at the property today, at the studio when we were shooting content. And it's like, if my lead wrist is starting, like if I was going to open like a jar of pickles or something, I would want my lead wrist in a very like cupped position so I could push on that jar and twist it off. It's a very like natural thing to push on the butt end of the golf club with my wrist like this.
Right. Well, you
Like,
have your
I've done it
fingers.
with
If
so
you flex,
much.
it's like using the back part of the hands, and there's just
I'm not
you
going to
don't have
open a
all
jar
your-
of pickles with my back of my hand.
Right.
Right.
Right. And again, it's a little different, like when it comes to the, with how we're, swinging the handle.
Yeah.
But with, again, what we're saying, it's just, again, it's more of a natural kind of
Leverage.
idea. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just talking more like leverage.
Mhm.
Like I can, if I've
Pushing
got
against something.
if I got
like
the
a
club like
cylinder or a small
this,
spot.
it's like the easiest way to get this thing up in the air is to just go like that with my
Mhm.
wrist.
Right.
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 It's like, if I want to get the club up, it's not as easy to go like that way and then up, because then it goes sideways, and I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of that. But
Exactly.
we're team strong grip here.
Yep.
So but yeah, it'll be cool to watch. Golf's starting to kind of pick back up steam a little bit.
Mhm.
We got the PNC this week. Then the match is coming up too. So you know what the match is? That's that's that one that they're doing with JT,
Yep.
Tiger, Spieth,
Yep.
and Rory. Yeah,
Yes.
Rory.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and that'll be cool. It's gonna be like under the lights. And,
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome.
It's gonna be really cool. So we'll get to see Tiger quite a bit this week. So there'll be a lot of eyes on golf. So hopefully, if you're looking for a cool podcast and you're just kind of getting into golf, here we are.
Right, there you go.
We nerd out about the golf swing. So yeah, another thing I want to talk about, and this is going to kind of segue really good into the segment I want to do called Seated Swing Solutions. Okay. People don't have time to go to the range.
Right.
They don't have time to work on their games, or leave the house or anything, or maybe they just don't have the ability to, like it's winter time, wherever they're at. What's some things they can do kind of right at home?
Sure.
So we're going to do a couple drills. We're going to do some with the club, some without the club.
Right.
We'll start with a couple without the club, and then we'll do a couple with the club.
Okay.
So I'm going to set my club
the
down.
first
I'm actually
one-
going to do it with you.
Okay.
So I'm going to follow along.
So the first one I like is
Everybody
that,
else follow along at home too.
right. So I mean, of course, when you're sitting in the chair, some of the basics that you can just do is the finger extension. We've talked about this before, palm to palm.
Straight out away
Yep.
from the sternum.
And then
Yep.
basically you're trying to keep your palms pushing together as you flex your fingertips away, but you're trying to keep all the way up to like the knuckle pads of your palms pressing together all the way up to that point from, the back part.
That's important.
It's hard to do
It's
that,
very
like to
hard.
get that right.
Yeah.
But if you then can flex all your fingers, and especially your thumbs, so if we keep the thumbs pinched, like the inner parts here of the thumbs pinched to the index fingers, and allowing the tips of the thumbs to basically be kind of bent up and back,
The
like as if
hitchhiker
there was like,
thumbs.
yeah, exactly,
The hitchhiker
hitchhiker thumbs,
Yep.
right?
Uh-huh.
So it's like that gives you that maximum finger extension. So you basically, so from a stretched out standpoint, okay, we're starting off here. We flex and then we push away a little bit. See how close you can get your elbows together.
Right.
And it's almost like you're creating like your own little exercise with like resistance bands without resistance bands.
Right. Right.
Because what you're doing is you're flexing and stretching all like the muscles and tendons and ligaments in your arms and hands. And that right there is when you think about, we've talked so much about starting the backswing, right?
That's it.
Well, you get everything set up and it's like you're locked into this position. But when you start back, that initial push down, I mean, we're only talking like an inch or two over a course of time, right? Like it's like maybe a foot or two.
Yeah.
And it's like that, though, is the key foundation to the first move.
Right.
So it's just getting that finger extension.
And that's that when we did that piece of content where we talked about JT and we started to club back.
The handle going
his
down
handle
just a
goes
little bit
down.
and then back up to where it initially started,
and it's because
like
of
by
that,
the takeaway.
right?
Yeah, that's that same move. They're all doing that.
So you're pushing your palms away from your sternum.
Yeah,
right?
It's like you're
Down, out, and
pushing
away.
together and then like flexing the fingers back. But you're just trying to like stretch. It's like from a standpoint of how far you could go just from like a basic stretch. And then when you flex as far as you can go, you can probably go another 3-4 inches. So that's really it. And so maximizing that, the pressure load really locks the triangle in.
That's the key.
So then you want to try to maintain that tautness throughout the entire swing, technically.
Got it. So now from this position,
right?
Then you just take it and like, how would
so
you
it's
go?
Like,
how would you go
if we were gonna, okay, so from here, it's like if I want to go with a strong grip, I'm going to turn my hands the 30 degrees, roughly
towards
35.
the trail shoulder.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then curl my fingertips while maintaining that extension. And there's my strong grip right there.
And the curling the fingertips is important because that's what allows you to get the proper grip.
That's
pressure.
how you wrap around the cylinder.
Yeah,
that's the only way we can swing a golf club, right?
But
if I kept my fingers in extension like this, keeping the palms together, from this point, if I basically set the hands back parallel to the ground to here, there's the takeaway. And then from here, if I go back, it's like here's impact, so it's going to be like a little bit more under like that.
Yep.
And then from there, there's the rotation effect that would happen by post impact. So you could literally just sit there and just rehearse this. And I'll tell you, if you keep your finger extension and your elbows locked, doing these little drills, keeping your fingers and palms all properly isolated and together, you're going to see after 10, 15 reps, everything's going to be like, whoa, I got to shake this out. So this is what we're going to be launching in our archive videos.
Yes.
Is more of the conditioning side of it.
Correct.
For like the reps and stuff, and we're tracking for that.
Seated swing solutions.
Correct. But this is where we start with basics. Another one I want to show you real quick. We start off palm to palm. Then we take and we basically go lead hand on top, trail hand or trail palm underneath. And then from there, keep the lead hand right where it's at stationary. Take trail hand, go back as far as you can, keeping the trail elbow kind of like at we'll say like a perfect 45. So we're keeping the cup and the trail wrist. So again, we go here. Yep. So like here, and then basically bring that trail hand and arm back underneath. Perfect. Right back to the lead hand. Just do this over and over again. That what this is doing is helping you understand from address how that trail arm and hand are working back on the plane. And then coming back down to hold the lag. So you can just rep that. And then from here, which is back to the impact, you can just feel that you keep the lead hand, like the outside of the lead arm. It's not going to move forward. You're just going to rotate it over and basically get the trail palm on top, lead palm underneath. And then from there, I mean, let's say, get it here. It's like leave that lead hand stationary and then go with the trail hand. So if I didn't have my mic, you can go, all the way out here, parallel to parallel, and that's your entire golf swing.
Yeah.
But that's a great drill, just understanding like the role of like how the hands and arms are working.
I like that. I like how this hand stays here and this one goes that way.
Exactly.
You can really feel the stretch too.
So there's one last one here is
with the club?
Yeah, so you take your short club.
And if you don't have a short club, just grab something small.
Yeah, grab something that's just like it could be a cylinder or even like a ruler that's short. Like a 1 foot ruler, just to give you an idea of an object.
Or you can grab a club and grip down if you want, like whatever. We'll have the solution for that.
This is more of just to understand what your hands and arms are doing relative to an object.
Correct.
Right. So you do a split grip. So for our, short club, this is again, maybe like a little over a foot. But like this is about a foot in distance.
This is pushed straight away from us with the lead hand like this, right?
Yeah, arms are straight away from each shoulder.
Okay.
And then from there, basically go straight back. I'm going to go to just here. And then from there, I'm going to reverse my grip. So I'm going to go trail hand towards the butt end of the club. Lead hand this way. This helps you feel the rotation of the forearms in the backswing.
I like this.
So the trail arm is now underneath the lead arm, which is exactly how it is in the swing. So we're going to hold that, go kind of back underneath with that trail arm. Here's that pre-impact move. So right here, the more you can get that trail elbow tucked under, trail shoulder a little bit, holding that like lead hand on top, holding that club head back. Then from there, you can feel the spring effect and just leave the lead hand where it's at and let the trail hand just rotate over.
Yeah, it really
just really helps you feel.
That's
so it's like this is the backswing.
Yeah.
That's the release.
I love that. Yeah, you could really feel the stretch.
It's a work. I mean, it's like sitting there doing curls, But these are drills that are more specifically oriented to exactly what you want to condition for golf.
Right.
These are the muscles you have to get worked out. You don't have to go to the gym for hours thinking that it's going to work. Because honestly, some of the most athletic people I've ever met after a 1 hour lesson with me were like, wow,
this is tough.
I don't use these muscles. It's like, exactly. So we want to be specific to like what you're actually conditioning.
We're really just trying to educate people like, hey, if you need to condition your golf swing, these are the muscles you need to be conditioning. You need to be conditioning your claws, your forearms, your shoulders, your core, not worrying about trying to throw a medicine ball into the ground or jump off the ground.
Yeah. So, and again, for any of the viewers that are like, kind of like, again, thinking like this is just maybe some like kind of stupid prop. The idea of it is that you can do these drills, condition the hands and arms, but you're getting a shorter, like zoomed in view of what the club's actually doing too. Instead of having to extend it way out here, now it's like right here. So it's like, even though I'm like going back and like doing the reverse grip and then coming through, it's like I'm seeing what's happening still with the handle of the face. It doesn't change. What happens right here with the hands, the club's going to do the same. Doesn't matter how long, it's just going to elongate the distance the club head's moving to do that.
This is why we're going to do these small clubs for everybody. So when we release our archive videos, you're going to be able to follow along. And just like you're following along right now.
And so, there's one last one. Sorry.
You're fine.
Back to that first split grip original like this before we did the switch in the backswing.
So the trail hand is straight down away from the trail.
Just straight away. Yep. So we go back like this. And then when we come through, we pump it right back down to where we started. And then the butt end stops once that lead hand arm get parallel to the lead shoulder. And then the trail arm and hand go over the lead arm and hand. But you want to keep that lead arm and hand kind of pushing out like this but also let the lead elbow kind of rotate to where it can pin back in. So you can get everything back to to this like perfect parallel. Because I was going to show like if you showed what the trail hand arm would look like in a grip, like doing this, it'd be like too much rotation. But again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to like give you a stretch, and like condition the forearms and strength. So, this is really good for all that.
Yeah, because we're gonna have we're gonna do a segment in a little bit where we talk about where is the speed actually coming from in the golf swing, and it's actually going to be a hot take what our opinion is. And if you've listened to a lot of our podcasts, you probably can guess where we think it comes from. But what we're saying is we're just trying to condition all those muscles because we believe this is where the speed comes from. So, hey, these are the conditioning things you need to do. Okay, I like that. That's really, really good. Any else you feel good about it?
No, that's good.
Sweet, cool. Hopefully that was really good for people. Take a breather, take a little water. That's a workout. I can feel it in my core, because really what we're just trying to do is we're just trying to imagine that this is just a swing triangle, right? We talk about that all the time, and we're just trying to condition creating that swing triangle. And once that triangle is created, how do we keep it together while being able to control how the club head is working relative to that triangle and relative to the handle, and just understanding the proper hands and arm movements. So Seated Swing Solutions. Keep an eye out for more content on that. And we'll definitely have more of that in our archive videos and stuff. It's really, really good. So now we're going to get into talking about the tour players a little bit. So first thing I guess we got to talk about with the winner of the week, Hovland. Congrats to Hovland, back-to-back Hero World Challenge. The only guy that's done that since Tiger. Tiger's the only other guy that's had back-to-back Hero World Challenge wins. So congrats to Hovland. We've talked about his swing a lot, so we're not going to actually include him in our plain and simple segment where we talk about tour players. But he's just doing a really good job. The only thing I really feel like is holding Hovland back from being like that guy and like winning a lot of majors, his short game just still, like I watched a couple bunker shots where he had a long bunker shot and he hit it like 20 feet past. It was like a 30-yard bunker shot, but he just stabbed the leading edge at it too much and the face was just too shut. And like we always recommend to our people is you got to let that toe open up a little bit. And that's why we recommend the stronger grip with the face rotation throughout the whole entire swing, because it creates just one swing. But if your one swing is a hooded face and then trying to manipulate it and be able to thump the trailing edge from a shut face takeaway, you're going to have trouble. And that's the Hovland thing, I think, is that.
Yeah. It's more like, think of it this way. If you have the face shut and then you're going to an opening position, and let's just say that, you go the under amount that you need, you think about how the face is going to be changing in dynamic that way, that quick. So relative to if you have a strong grip, right? We get the hand a little bit more forward and we get the face properly twisted open. You're able to just push consistently. So the changing of the face angle is the least amount. Like you're not trying to influence it at all. You're just maintaining it and pushing.
So you can focus all your attention more on where you're pushing and how you're pushing,
right.
which is how you're going to control the angle of attack and how that club's coming into the ball.
So
got it.
If it was me, like with Hovland's situation, I guess what I would consider is just like, I think for one, he needs to widen his stance a little bit more, honestly, to help him shallow more. But maybe just, use like a 52-degree wedge on those distance, shots and just try to barely open the face at setup. And then when he goes back, just open it up and then do his normal, like, move through impact. Like he doesn't have to like increase so much like on the under move.
Got it.
Right.
So when you say widen the stance, that shallows him out, what do you mean by that?
So like the wider your stance, basically the shallow, it elongates the bottom of your arc.
Oh, got it.
So it basically allows you to get the club to get to where it basically skims the surface of the ground for a longer period of time, but from a shallower attack, which allows you to project the ball, much more vertical. And to, in a sense, create more spin.
So it's like last episode when we were talking about like John Rahm hitting a flop shot with like a 4-iron.
Yeah, he was very wide. Right.
Yeah, it's the Trevino thing where you're like riding the horse.
Riding the pony. Point the toes out. Get the knees out, wide stance. Yep.
Yeah, we talked about that in one of our podcasts. And that was, I watched that clip the other day. I was like, that's really good.
Yeah. Because I mean, the point is, again, just figure out how you can get the face to come into impact a little bit more consistently.
Yeah.
Open
you might have to make manipulations
and use the bounce, but there's just something simple that you can do. I mean, there's alternatives for sure. So hopefully he does it. But hey, if he's still winning tournaments, I mean,
it's okay.
It's exactly. Yeah. Like good for you.
I love Hovland. I mean, he's such a cool dude.
For sure.
But yeah, we're rooting for Hovland. I mean, his move is just so good though. He pushes when we're talking about everything that we're saying. In the takeaway, he pushes so well.
Yeah, well, he
flexes down.
So he goes inward with the handle.
With a strong grip, which is
he has a strong grip like this. So he goes, when he pushes, he goes inward with the handle. So you talked about that drill where we said go straight back with the handle for the first foot. He starts going inward, I'd say about 2 inches in the first foot.
Yeah.
And then from there, he's like basically hooding it. And then the handle gets inside of the club head. So that's why he has more of like an across the line kind of move, but the face is like shut like this because he keeps twisting it. So it's like this. And then he goes back underneath, uses his head rotation opening, drains his water out of his trail area basically perfectly and maintains it. And that allows him to keep the face square down the line. So again, like his move, the transition is fine for a fuller swing because he has more time to get the club to do it. But when it comes to the shorter shots, that transition becomes a little bit more problematic, area.
I don't know if you've ever seen him when he does his pause swing.
I loved it.
I love it.
I remember watching him first time ever. Like he got up to the top, paused for 2-3 seconds, and just, he hit like 310 in the air. And the announcers were like, man, we've never seen anyone pause like that long.
How's he able to do that? It's because of the push pressure? Because he's pushing so well against the handle with the push-pull?
Well, it all comes from, the connect. I mean, in order to pause at the top and stop completely, you have to have like the connection to like from the start all the way to the top and understand what the first move with the hands and arms are to get the club to start and transition properly.
Oh, got it.
And of course, feet and knees,
Yes.
And if you can do that and you know where you're going to basically try to leave the club at post impact, like if you don't have that final destination idea of where it's going to be, then it becomes really hard, but it can be very efficient. And I've done it myself. I used to go to the top, see how long I could pause and still hit the ball well. And what you realize is it's like going to the top and pausing doesn't really hurt anything.
Right.
Like you can sit up there for as long as you want. But as long as you know what to do from that top position to get the momentum that you've already stored back to the ball properly, that's it. But that goes to show there's no rushing the backswing, like going quicker back. Right. I mean, it creates a certain type of, I'd say it's like a sequential motion, but same time, can you go without it and still start? I mean, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Cam Young did really good this week.
Really good. I love that movie.
And he just shows up there for
just a split second. I mean, really, it's a split second, but like in your mind, if you do a pause, like if you've never done it before, it feels like forever.
You're freaking out.
Yeah,
it's like okay, I got to get to the ball.
I gotta get back. Yeah,
your squirrels are like, we gotta go.
Right.
So I like the pause though. I think it's definitely underrated in terms of helping your students? Like if you ever,
Well, I think
like,
it's hard because a lot of people, like, I mean, you go online, you see a lot of pros that, you know, are huge advocates of. I know my David Ledbetter, you know, he does that a lot. But it's hard to do if you don't have help sometimes, like to make sure that you're doing it right.
True.
Because if you're off a few times, like, and you're on the range, it's a little scary, especially at a range, because it's like, if I miss this golf ball, I might kill this guy over here.
True, yeah.
So it's kind of like a thing where you might work on it at home, but at the same time, taking it out into public without like guidance, proper guidance can be a little bit tough. So I think that
everything that we're
gonna walk you through, we're gonna walk you through how to do this and how you start off. We'll do like a foam ball starting point.
Yeah.
But we'll do that at our studio next. Yeah. Like this week we'll record that.
Okay, cool. I like that. Yeah. And we'll talk about doing the pump drill as well.
Correct. That really helps to break it down,
it.
like the swing down in segments. So it's like you go to the top. What's the first move from the top? Like break it down in like, you know, like a quarter and a half, like, you know, so it's like, okay, I'm here. Now from there, I'm here. Now it's like seeing right where the club gets to at pre-impact, which is when the button of the club gets to the inside part of the lead leg.
Yes.
And then from there, it's like then understanding what happens from there, how we pin the face. Trail arm goes from bent to straight, keeping trail wrist cupped. And then you've got your post-impact. So it's like, but it just breaks it. Like I said, once you get like a breaking, or you break the swing down enough, you then can go to the top and like close your eyes in a sense and be able to just swing and feel where your hands and arms are, but also the club. Because one thing that's cool about claws, and we may not have even said this actually before, was that you're isolating all your muscles. So without a golf club, like here's my claws, right? Like if I twist them back or I push, like if I close my eyes, like I can tell where my index fingers are. I can tell where my pinkies are, right? I can feel that. And then if you put on a club and you got your claws, like, and you close your eyes, you can feel where the butt end is. You can feel where the club head is, right? But if you don't have the claw pressure though, like with your eyes closed, like if you're holding it like this, you can feel it, but it's just not going to be like effective.
Lobster claws don't work good in the dark.
Like
in the dark.
It gives you that awareness of basically what your hands and arms are doing to the club. And it doesn't take as much time to learn how to get that.
Right.
Because that's what the pros usually, you know, I mean, they all have that, I believe.
They all could do it with their eyes closed.
No, not only that, but like tell you where the club's at.
Oh, 100%.
But it's only because of how many balls they've hit.
Yeah.
We can get people to actually get this awareness within, you know, like 500 repetitions, to really
without even
gain
hitting the ball.
Exactly, right. And then you introduce the club and like to the ball, and then it's just like, oh, now I can tell where the ball was hit. Now I can like sense all these things, and it basically reduces your on course and on range anxiety.
Yeah,
by a mile, which is very important.
It's very important. I mean, golf is scary and
frustrating as hell, because you go out there and thinking you're doing this, and if you don't really realize what you're actually doing wrong, it's like, oh. You know, it's just like you don't even know sometimes where to go.
Yeah,
so.
And then that's what just causes, when people don't have any idea of like, okay, if it goes off the rails, why did it go off the rails? How do I get it back on the rails? Then you just got nothing. So that's why we always recommend proper guidance. So hopefully watching our channel and all the content that we have is the guidance that you need. So plain and simple, we're talking about the tour players. We're talking about their swings, plain and simply. It's our new segment we're going to do, which we always kind of talk about tour players, but we're just going to keep it simple.
We shouldn't have a title of it,
I like the title.
Yeah.
Well, I figured it out when I was doing the thumbnail for a couple of podcasts ago, and it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
First tour player that we're going to talk about, who also did really good this past weekend, is Scottie Scheffler. Okay. We're just going to talk about, we're talking about his grip, plane that he takes, how he uses his hands and arms in the downswing, how he uses his body. So, let's go through his swing.
Okay. So, he has a neutral strong grip, lead hand V in between trail ear, trail shoulder. And then when he starts his club back, he basically is just pushing down against the handle, but he's imagining like your index fingers are pointing straight down, out, away from your body, and you're trying to keep them pointing down, out, and away. So, it creates like a very elongated stretch.
Got it.
Almost like trying to maintain ulnar or downward, like, you know, finger action in the takeaway, right? Like ulnar deviation.
Got it. And so a little face rotation too.
And a little bit, right. And then as he gets to it, like whether he'd go to like a half, 3/4 full backswing, that's when he would activate his increase with push-pull.
Which is how he's getting the club to work up and back.
To transition up and back, exactly, to get on the 45.
And it's not a lot either. It's not a lot. He's pretty passive.
He's pretty subtle with it, absolutely. Yep.
Just rotates a lot to start to get the club to the top, basically.
Right. And he does that to create the depth, to basically allow the club to be able to drop into the slot. And that's why, too, from the top, when he gets his big increase, his trail foot, it basically slides back behind his lead foot. Like it actually goes backwards about 2-3 inches. And what that does is it really braces his lead side so that he can stay in tilt behind the ball. And he drains the water out of that trail ear, just keeps it draining, and allows the arms and hands to fully release down the line naturally. But he's using that trail foot big time and the drain of the water to really, again, stay behind the ball, because he has a very high finish in a sense, right? But
Extended
he has a lot of
chest.
backward bend.
Yeah, which is why he probably works the handle more left than most, because he has so much
if he went out
bend.
with his hands and arms too much, he would be real stuck.
Yeah.
He'd almost be like Jeff Ogilvie. If anybody remembers that guy's swing, because he used to get really like inside out,
big time inside out. Yeah.
So anyway,
nice.
that's it.
I like it. Yeah. And then another guy we're going to talk about is Xander Scheffler.
Yeah.
So he's got the cat thing. With the trail palm against lead thumb knuckle.
Same grip as Scheffler.
Yeah, neutral. Yep.
Yeah.
I like it.
And actually, same takeaway move. Pushing, but he also keeps that kind of ulnar deviation, club head pointing down, elongated stretch.
Not as much face rotation though.
Not as much. He kind of like sets that trail wrist a little bit more. Like he gets a little bit more of that.
Like that DJ feeling.
Yeah, because like we were saying with Scheffler, like he's pushing, but I would say like his grip pressure, like, with his claws activated against the handle, is a little bit less throughout his entire swing than Scheffler.
Yeah, right.
So Scheffler again sets it a little bit more, and then when Scheffler, and so part of that is why I think is because Scheffler has a much more aggressive lower body movement from the top. So he sets the trail palm harder to give him a little bit more of like a locking idea. Because basically from the top, like the more you push away with your hands and arms away, like from sternum with the club, as you start the lower body, it allows you to like stay isolated with the club like hanging out behind you, right? So opposed to the club coming around right away, allows the club to drop in shallow.
And he gets narrow at the top.
He gets very narrow in that transition. And so basically what happens is from the top, he really uses this, I call it the trail hand acceleration, where he keeps that cup in the trail wrist, allows the trail elbow to kind of really tuck in. It's like the pump drill basically. And then allows that trail elbow to go from bent straight. 'Cause it's the only way for his club to stay, or we'll say it's the only way for his club to stay in proper connection relative to his body all the way to pre-impact into the finish. Because if his body goes this quick and if his grip got loose, the club would get really stuck behind him.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what his problem is. Like, if he gets too quick, right? In tempo or whatever, a little bit of, again, lower body ahead, upper body trying to catch up. And then we know how that goes, trying to play catch up with the hands and arms.
Been there, done that.
But yeah, he does a great job with making sure too that his chest basically finishes over his lead foot. So instead of like Scheffler hanging back with his trail foot and draining water all the way out of the trail ear, Scheffler moves a little bit more forward with the upper body. He's not sliding, but he allows like that to move up. Like Tiger used to do that actually. If you remember. Yeah.
Yep.
So
nice. I like it. Yeah. Scheffler, I'm a huge fan of. I think he could probably win a major this year. I mean, he's definitely close. I mean, he's came very close. I remember when he almost won the Masters that one year when Hideki won it. He hit it in the water on 16. That was sad. But I like Scheffler. He's a cool dude. Him and Hovland, similar like temperaments and cool, kind of chill, laid back dudes.
Right.
Okay, third guy, JT, Justin Thomas. Just everybody knows JT, hugely popular. Played really good this weekend, and this week in general. I think he finished top 10. Let's walk through his swing a little bit.
So neutral, strong, lead hand, V in between trail ear, trail shoulder.
Starts the swing a little differently than the other guys. Pushes
more of what we like, which is he basically does the preset move, right? So
pushes down.
If his lead wrist has, we'll say, just like 10 degrees of extension and just a little bit of cup there, when he gets to that takeaway, it's perfectly flat. And so we'll just say that this is where, when his club, the butt end is approximately 5 inches outside of his trail hip, when that club reaches parallel, this is a snapshot of exactly what the angle and everything looks like, face to hand.
The first parallel.
Yeah, exactly. Perfectly toe up. Whoa. So just a little bit of a twist.
Yeah.
Right? And then from there, he basically just push-pulls. He's gotten a little bit flatter with his move, just a little bit. So I think he's actually adding a little bit more of like a twist transitionally to the top. And then from the top, that's where he kind of flexes a little bit with the lead wrist, lays it down, but he fires those. I mean, he has to because of the way that the legs are firing.
Yes.
So from the top, he's just hanging on and pushing back to that pre-impact. And then after pre-impact, he is maintaining the perfect claws and just letting the legs and everything basically do the work. All that stored energy is already there.
Right.
If he allows his trail leg to go from bent to straight so aggressively, like it's probably worse than Rory's. I mean, because Rory's is really, you know, aggressive. But JT's lead foot, though, the way it pulls is like it makes it makes you cringe. But those forces basically are just pulling that claw unit basically
the claw unit. I like it.
All the way through to the finish.
Yeah, and he just keeps the grip together perfectly.
He does. He maintains his pressure really well. But he's molding it better in the takeaway. So if you mold it here better, you have a better chance to be able to ride back to here at that point with the same pressures and then be able to ride them to the finish.
And he talks about too, I saw this thing on YouTube where he says that when he takes the club back, when he transitions from the takeaway to the top, he's feeling a lot of twist because he said if not, he can't keep his elbows and his grip together.
It's true.
And it's true.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we talk about this strong grip being more of a natural thing, because if you're push pulling and twisting like this, it's the easiest way to keep your elbows together.
Yes.
Like flexing and stuff, like the elbow naturally like wants to go out away.
And the right
and then this one's trying to help, connect, but it's just harder to do.
Right, exactly. Right. It's that like serving the platter. Like,
right. It's like this is the classic drill, like taking your drill hand and just turning palm up, full extension with the claw. It's like, take it back here. It's like, here we go.
Hold it down. Hold the pizza.
And then so it's like, here would be like, this would be like almost like your takeaway. And then that would be like your top position. And then here, it's like, now I can get back to being able to keep my palm perfectly back.
And then,
smash the pizza down. Yeah. I asked for pepperoni only.
Yeah, pepperoni only. Maybe a little onion. But yeah, JT, he's so money. His swing's so good. He's kind of lessening a lot of his lower body stuff. And his hands and arms are just so perfect. His wedge game is just so good, but it's because he rides, like you said, it's like similar to like a DJ. He rides those pressures so well. I mean, a different like move entirely in terms of bowing the wrist and stuff, but how he's pushing against the handle is very similar. So, cool. Yeah. Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
So
we'll try to keep it.
Hopefully that helped you a lot. Okay, cool. So we're going to end with a couple hot takes, a couple things that we talk about a lot. We've talked about on past episodes, a couple things that aren't being talked about enough in golf instruction. And the first hot take, okay, to start off the segment, is that the speed of your golf swing comes from your hands and arms, not your body. Everybody thinks that the speed is from the rotation and how much you're thrusting your body or jumping off the ground, or the biggest term that we hear is using the ground, which is important. Don't get me wrong. It is important.
True.
But you have to load into the ground properly in the takeaway by pushing into the ground with your palms.
Right.
So let's talk about that. Why is the speed coming from your hands and arms and not your body? Hot take.
Because if you don't have the proper connection of your claws pushing and pulling and doing the proper twisting against the handle, that connection with your arms away from the body is like your hammer. Okay. So imagine if I had a hammer and I lever it back. Okay, this is effective, right? I can then snap back down, hit the nail.
Which is the ball, yeah.
Correct.
Nail,
So if basically, let's say that again, if I take the club, get my grip right, take it back like this, then if I use proper lower body movement and footwork, start with feet and knees, head tilts back, we get the proper, claw connection back to pre-impact, and we proper deliver, and we're good. Okay.
Yeah.
But if I take the backswing and I don't have proper claw connection, right? Let's say I'm just kind of floating back like this. I don't care how perfect your lower body movement is or your body movement. Try creating speed with this.
You ain't hitting that nail.
You can, okay, here's what we got, right?
You ain't
It's
hitting
like,
that nail.
yeah, so it's like taking your hammer back and going like, okay, again, here's the face of the hammer. So it's like, I take it back and I'm like this, like, okay, let's hit the nail. It's like, wait a minute. No. This ain't going to work. So it's like, you have to properly, get your claws on the club, get the connection from your hands and arms to the club, basically in a sense to the ground as well, because it's all like when you push down against the handle, it does kind of sink you down all the way from your feet into the ground more,
right?
Because the pressure's there.
Yeah.
Like you're pushing. So, but
that's why tour players start their swing that way.
That's why, that's it. And then too, like, when you think of the body, like, yes, if you can get the proper torque or like proper lever of the club back, You can lag it. Then you're isolating your body movements to be able to, again, like then if you open your hips up more, but then you counteract it by getting the club head to lag more, then there is more of a spring effect. But if you go to, certain limits, then also the consistency is becoming a big variable too.
So you can use the body to help facilitate the spring effect.
But if you don't have the proper connection, is what we're trying to say, is that like it's more important when it comes to distance that you have your claws and you have your proper like lever lag and release or proper hinge lag and release, however you want to say it. Like that's it though. Like you have to have that unit to be effective. Because if you create speed with the club facing the wrong way, like if the ball's here and I'm like this, and it's like, how do I create speed? It's like, oh, I can go this way. Now, how do I create speed this way? It's like, there's too much of like a
there's too many alterations and too many manipulations that are being made.
You got to stay on the 45 basically to create maximum speed. Basically.
The whole idea, and we always talk about this, is you have to arrive here at pre-impact.
Right. You got to be on the 45 and you have to get your takeaway, your pre and post impact right. You get those 3 points right, you can then generate speed from there effectively. But otherwise, if you're not going to be able to.
Right, exactly.
It's plain and simple.
Plain and simple, yes, absolutely. Okay, cool. I
Next
like
one.
it. Ruffling some feathers. Another one. I think that people are swinging to the left too much coming through. Everybody thinks that you have to keep it
golfers,
on. Average golfers.
Yes, for sure.
Average golfers that are watching online and they're hearing you have to move the hand path left, keep the handle moving down the line, or not down the line, left.
Like literally
because
left.
They say the arc of the swing, you want to keep the club in the handle on that arc. For the average golfer, false.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's talk about it.
Right.
Why?
Because the problem is that the idea for an average golfer, when they think of moving the hands left, they're just thinking like this. Like you're literally pulling the arms and hands across. What happens? The classic chicken wing.
The chicken
So
wing.
the problem is we have to learn that there's a pivot point. We've talked about it where you get the lag, like, we get set up, lever back, butt end, inside, lead leg. Butt end should feel like it stops so that the lead wrist can unlever to deliver the lag and then properly release, right? Like the lead forearm has to unrotate.
Yes.
If you're not letting the forearm basically be fully rotated and then unrotate, you're minimizing your speed.
Yeah.
Like this is where speed comes from. They've proven it in all sciences that club face rotational speed is the most like key to distance. Look at Rory McIlroy.
Right.
Like, he has some of the fastest.
He's got the fastest hips, but his forearms are
His hand
equal.
and arm rotation is crazy. It's like it catapults that because of the way he blends everything perfectly.
If he just used his hips and didn't have fast forearms or torquing or letting the spring
he would
wind
only
up.
maybe hit a 300 every now and then.
Maybe, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so you're just winding the spring, like you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, and then letting it unwind, right? Like we're on the side of the handle, twisting it back, holding the twist, and then letting it untwist. It has to untwist in the proper direction with the proper pressures.
Again, the more the lead arm, even if the lead arm kind of goes down the line, but if the lead arm keeps going, that's what people, again, are thinking is that is just going to cause you to pull across the golf ball.
Steep divots, deep divots.
Well, I mean, even to be honest, like
toe shots.
It's thin shots, it's blade shots, hosel shots. I mean, there's you have to let the club pivot or unpivot. Yes. Basically, we pivot it back and then we let it unpivot properly.
I love it.
Yeah. So the handle basically will say this from where the handle starts at address, right? From here to post impact, if you drew a line down the line, the handle should not be working more than 2 inches inward by that point from like at post impact from where it originally started. If it's going more than that, it disrupts the gear effect of how the club face rotates. And then again, you're minimizing accuracy and speed. And especially, some days when it gets real bad and you're not stopping as much and you're pulling even more, it gets
chicken wing.
It gets to that Jordan Spieth chunk shot in the Masters on 12. So
absolutely.
That's kind of
where the lead hand just stops pushing completely, and trail hand's like, "What are you doing? I can't do everything," and then everything breaks down. So
no matter how good you are, it could still happen to you if that happens.
Right,
so,
absolutely.
There you go.
Cup in the lead wrist. Better than bow in the lead wrist, I think.
It's more natural, like we talked about earlier with keeping the swing triangle together, properly connected to your body while you ride the 45 effectively.
Okay. Yeah, because it's hard to ride the 45. Harder to ride the 45 when your wrist is like this.
Right.
Because you're swinging a cylinder at the end of the day. So the more your wrist is this way on the cylinder, it's like you're not holding your car like your steering wheel like this. Like I'm holding my steering wheel like this.
Right.
So,
Well, here's the other thing too is that, you know, when you think about like the rotational speed of club face, like we were just talking about, if you have the face more shut like this, you're not winding the spring up like effectively as if you took a strong grip, you'd be like this.
yes.
So it's like, okay, if I get like this and then I go under, or if I even twist even more like this and then let that go, I feel like you have to be physically stronger
Yes.
and use your legs a heck of a lot more
Right.
to be able to make that work and be as effective as, you know, if you take that strong grip, get that maximum twist,
Right.
and you hold it and then you properly, you know, release it, you're not using your lower body
Correct.
near as much.
Right.
I mean, it's 20% less than a weak grip.
And going back to the Charlie thing, he's a younger kid,
Right.
not as strong as a grown adult. Why would you recommend the weaker grip, which requires the most amount of strength and
Right.
flexibility? I mean, flexibility, yeah, I get it.
Right.
But
strength-wise, when you think about like the effective force against like the club's going to have into the golf ball, like I think it would be a little bit more with that strong grip. So
yeah, just use the golf club. Let the club do the work. Stop trying to like use your shoulders and hit it with your body and all this. Like just you're making golf way harder than it needs to be.
right. Maybe they should have Gary Player and he can walk Charlie through like his, you know, old strong grip, close the face even on top of that,
too.
and then like open it so much and then walk down the line with it.
Walk it. Yeah.
And that's, I mean, because
Just
the longer,
walking the
that's
dog.
how he held the spring back,
Yeah,
which is
that's what
crazy,
we were
but
saying
didn't
in
really.
that one piece of content we did.
Yeah.
That did really good because
Right.
everybody liked that visual because everybody's seen that like walk-through drill. So, okay, cool. I feel like we ruffled enough feathers. I think that was really good. Okay, we're done kind of ranting.
Yeah, right.
We just want to just open up your eyes. Like we've studied a lot. We've given a lot of golf lessons. We know that people could be getting better at golf. There's just not enough information out there like this. That's why we do this podcast. That's why we created our Smart Grip. That's why we're doing everything that we're doing. That's why we put our studio together. It's why we're pushing out content every day. It's for you.
Exactly.
So thanks for watching.
Yep.
Links are all in the bottom. Hopefully this helped you. Grab your club, work on your seated swing solutions, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.